I'm sharing a channeled message about a possible blackout. I'm Ann Tucker, and this is the Spirit Means Business YouTube channel. And if you'd like to see more videos like this one, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe using the little, either the button in the corner or down below in the description, you'll see a little button there that says subscribe. So I've been sharing these channeled messages as I've been receiving them. I am a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm, and I've been getting these messages about what we can expect coming in the fall. And those messages have been all kinds of things about the banks closing, about the fact that we won't be able to move our money, messages about an earth rift, this giant earth rift that's supposed to be coming, and the messages go on. There's lots of different things about that all of these difficult things that we really need to get through in order to get beyond to our ascension, to the raising of our vibration. And the messages I got today, so there's all these different messages, and I've been sort of putting them together as best I can. I kind of get one piece and then another piece and trying to make sense of what they might all mean when you put them all together. And today's message, I think, actually really helps us with stitching them together like that. It gives us, I think, a missing link, which is really helpful. So let me go ahead and share it with you. So in the beginning, they start talking about the Earth rift, which I have assumed is going to be some sort of a super volcano, some sort of a very large, because they said it will affect all on Earth. And they've talked about it shooting stuff up into the atmosphere, up into the jet stream. So to me, it sounds like a super volcano. And they've pinpointed that as being happening somewhere around the Indian Ocean. So they mentioned India, Indonesia, somewhere in there, or in the Indian Ocean. So here is what they've added to this. So they said, we told you that there will be an earth disruption. This is true. It has already begun. Some movement of the situation is in play. There are many points along a border that have experienced pressure to create a sudden explosion. So apparently there's some small pieces of this, and I've been watching because, of course, if you hear this information, I immediately, like the first time I got this, I didn't know anything about like what was the seismic activity in that area, but I looked it up, and yes, there actually is a super volcano, an old one, in that area, right smack in the middle. Like it originally erupted right over India, and then now it's like in the Indian Ocean. So there really is, and then also around Indonesia. There are different types of big volcanoes, so it's a very active area. I had no idea, but that's what they identified, and there has been some unusual activity there lately. We say you have only certain amounts of time before this occurrence and many unfolding happenings that will transform your planet. Once begun, it has the potential to serenade the unfurling of this dramatic and quick. We have explained already what may occur. It has some observed pieces that are nearly complete. You may see how this earthquake begins when you are watching the news, because like I said, I've been kind of watching what's going on over there. There are to come some explanations that aren't accurate from experts who assume this will only be small, and we are anticipating there will be some among you who think there is no reason to assume detrimental costs. However, we know there are greater potentials for destruction within this first foray into this great avenue for up-leveling the earth. And that's what it's all about. It's all about getting us to a place where we are able to ascend, to raise our own vibration. And the earth has to heal. Our culture, our civilization has to heal. Just in the same way that when an individual heals, if there is negativity or emotions trapped within our system, in order to heal those, they have to be brought up to the surface and be felt. And that's what this is doing, is all of this stuff is allowing sort of the toxic energies that are held within the earth that maybe come from our experience, from things that we've done or elsewhere, are coming up to the surface to be felt and to be cleared. And that's, look at all of the disruption and the protests and everything that's happening. There's so much disruption in our lives right now. And I see this as a great cleansing or great healing that we're going through, and we have to feel it before we can clear it. So this is a volcano. Talk about bringing stuff up to the surface, right? Like that is, to me, it's a healing. So, okay. We are seeing that you will find it happening within the period of your twofold remembrance. And this is where I stop, like right here. I've been trying to figure out like when is all this stuff going to happen? And every time I get to a date, it switches like numbers, switches me into my left brain, and channeling happens on the right side. So if I'm in my left brain, I switch out of channeling and I get fuzzy. It's not as clear. I feel like I drop out. It distracts me. So here they've mentioned it will happen within the period of your twofold remembrance. Well, I had no idea what that meant. So I thought, oh, it's gobbledygook. It doesn't make any sense. But when I channeled this, normally I channel and I write everything down myself. But this time my son was with me and I was dictating and he was writing it all down. Well, he figured out what this meant. And the period of your twofold remembrance. Well, we think of Veterans Day. Internationally, that same day is known as Remembrance Day. And it celebrates two things. It celebrates the end of World War I and it celebrates veterans. So it's a twofold Remembrance Day. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's like, and the fact that I had no idea, like I love that when they use words I don't know or you talk about things I don't, and then I go and look it up and it's true. You know, it just is such a wonderful confirmation. But this is one of those. And to me, I mean, you can't say it's 100% that, but here's other pieces that make me think that it's likely that Veterans Day happens on 11/11, which is a very powerful day from a spiritual perspective. 11/11, a very powerful number numerologically. In addition, astrologically, right now Mars is in retrograde, right? And Mars on November 14th, which is right in this period, right, just a couple days later, Mars will turn and go direct. But when a planet goes direct, it doesn't just, go backwards and then all of a sudden, boom, immediately go forward. It has to, that momentum has to stall and it has to stop in reverse directions. And when it's stopped, it's called stationed. The planet is stationed to go direct. But when it's stationed, when it's standing still, it's like it's that much more powerful, right? It's like it's all that energy. There's no motion to diffuse the energy. It's just right there shining it at you. And Mars is in Aries. It's super powerful in this position. And it's got all these negative aspects where it's got Saturn and Pluto and all these things are conjunctions. It's really like it's a really dark sky. I think it's a really difficult time astrologically. So that's a really powerful day happening right around this 11/11 in the same period. So is this an absolute for sure? None of it is absolute for sure, right? All of this is potentialities. These are all waves of probability that they're sharing with us. And in terms of our understanding of this as a date, is this accurate? Well, I'm giving you all the information I have and the pieces I've put it together, and then you have to think it through for yourself. But to me, it feels like I definitely will be looking to see what happens around this time period, for sure. So here's what else they say. So to repeat that, they say, we are seeing that you will find it happening within the period of your twofold remembrance, to be felt first as a quake and then seen within hours as more, to be seen within days as smoke, to be felt within periods beyond, within months, as circumstances develop to be increasingly frigid and uninhabitable for many. So that could potentially be the beginning, the initial pieces of this volcano that could erupt. So that could be the beginning of things. So then they go on to say something that was brand new that I hadn't heard before, and that was surprising to me. They said, you are now entering the period of blackout, where we will remove from you the means by which you telecommute, the method by which you telephone. All will be silent to ensure this completion. So that threw me. It's like, wait a minute, I thought we were talking about volcanoes and like, where does this blackout come from? So I thought at first it might be because of they said before that the volcano would send a bunch of debris up into the atmosphere. And I thought, okay, well, maybe they said it would go up into the jet stream. I thought if there's all this stuff in the jet stream, maybe that would get in the way of the satellites working. But then they also talked about, when I started thinking about all the different things that they've said over time, and they said, okay, that the banks are going to close, but not just for a weekend, like for a more extended period of time. And I thought, well, maybe that was, because the stock market was going to fall. They said the stock market would fall, the banks would close. So I thought maybe the banks would close because the stock market fell, but for an extended period of time. That's a little unusual. Like, why would that be? And then they also said no liquidity, that you couldn't move your money. You couldn't move your money from one place to another. So why would that be? Right? That was unusual. They said that truck drivers would abandon their routes. And I assumed that would be maybe because they're talking about riots and things, that maybe it would be not safe for truck drivers to drive into urban areas. But it was unusual. Anyways, all these different pieces that I was sort of trying to piece together and thinking, huh. And then I get this about the blackout, that there's going to be a blackout. So what is it that would cause all of these things to fail, right? They're talking about if there's telecommunications aren't working, telephones aren't working, that would certainly make it really difficult to transfer money, right? If the internet isn't working, then all banking would shut down. So these things are connected. So what's going on? So I talked to a friend of mine, and his name is Michael Sheridan. He has his own YouTube channel, which is called So You Think You're Awake. And he is an amazing dream interpreter. I've been working with him for years to understand my own dreams. And it's been a big part of my spiritual growth. Well, he recently shared a dream about in the dream, it was one of his friends had this dream, a client of his had this dream about a hoe going through civilization, I guess you would say. I can't remember that piece, but it was a hoe going through society or something. But it has 3 blades, and they're one after another. And the first blade was corona, it said, which is the coronavirus. Well, the thing that confused him at first was that the second blade was also corona, but it wasn't the coronavirus. So what he determined that might be is a solar corona, which is like a solar flare. Well, a solar flare, that's like a power surge. It's like lightning, super powerful lightning hitting the earth, right? And it would hit the portion of the earth that was facing the sun. So if that was to hit the earth, that would fry all of our electronics. That would explain a blackout. That would explain that, not being able to transfer money. It would explain like none of the cars, but anything that has electronics in it wouldn't be working. So it would explain a lot of the other messages that I've been receiving. So when he said there's 3 blades to this, the first one is the corona. The second one, or the third one, there's 2 others. One could be this solar corona, and the other one could be this volcano. So anyways, this is a lot. And when I first got this, I went out for a walk in my neighborhood, and I was looking at, there's some really beautiful new homes that have just been built. And I was looking at these and looking at the fact that, it's the lot is mostly house, and they've got a small garden. And these houses are like completely dependent on the systems of the city, right? That they get their power from the grid, they get their water from the city. Like they are completely dependent. And if something like this was to happen, like that house there would be a lot of people in a lot of pain. So I was really going through some grief about this and thinking about like, this is really hard. But that, I believe, is the reason why they're sharing this information with us, is that this is a healing that we have to go through in order to raise our vibration. The planet is raising its vibration, and we have to raise ours as well. And we have to go through this in order to get there. And this is like any kind of healing that you go through. When a person goes through a healing, when people have emotions or difficulties, trauma stuck in their body, that emotion has to come to the surface. We repress our emotions. They have to come to the surface and be felt in order to clear them. When we feel them, we only feel them for about 90 seconds, and then we release them, and they're out of our system. That has to happen to the planet as well, right? Things have to come up. All of the things that we've been repressing as a society has to come up to the surface and be felt so that we can release them, so that we can be free to be able to raise our vibration. And the planet, what better metaphor for bringing things to the surface than a volcano, right? Bringing the magma, bringing, things that are hot and yucky up to the surface to clear. And so I think the reason why they're sharing this stuff with us is that each time I get one of these messages, I go through a period of grief, where I have this sort of the shock about life is going to be different. And I think about the people who will suffer. And it's a lot to process, but we have the grace that's being given to us of being able to process this in small bites now, in advance, right? We have the ability to be able to think about it, and to think about releasing our expectations about what we think our lives are going to look like. A lot of us have these expectations about my kids are going to be able to go away to college, and, I'm going to have this kind of a job that's going to lead to this kind of a promotion. And those expectations may not turn out that way, right? Like the world may look really, really different. And we have to release those expectations and release our grief that we might have over those expectations. And one of the things the angels keep saying to me is they keep saying, take what arises, right? Whatever comes up for you, whatever arises in front of you, take that and embrace that, because we can't see the beauty of what's coming. And they're just asking us, be open. Yes, it's going to be different. It's going to be better, right? Be open to it. Take what arises and release our expectations about what we think it needs to be, what a good life needs to look like, because it might look really, really different, but it might be, if we're open to it, it might be infinitely better. So, and I think they're giving us these messages now so that in the moment, when if this stuff comes to pass, when it does, if it does, that we're not so floored, that we're not so in shock and so in grief in that moment that we're unable to respond, because we need to be there to be of service, to be stepping into our purpose, right? This is the moment to step into your purpose. So as this happens, so if we know about it in advance, then we're prepared. We've gone through some of the grieving, right? We're not so in shock, that we can respond in a way that's more positive, right? That we're more present and we're ready to see what arises. So that's why I think we're getting these messages. So anyway, so that's what I've got so far. That's what I have to share. As I get more messages, I will be sharing them with you. And if you want to see those messages, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can go down under the description down below. There's a button you can hit to subscribe. You can also join me on Facebook in my Facebook group, which is called Spirit Means Business. And there I'm present. I do Friday lives. I'm live every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, and sometimes I'm sharing more channeled messages. I'm also sharing stuff related to business. The last Friday Live I did was all about how to channel. So I may actually take that video and put it here as well for you to share it. But head on over. I'd love to see you on Facebook as well. So thanks so much for joining me, and I will catch you next time. Thanks.